Hi, this is Rain from Comics Throwback. Join me today as we talk about this week's hottest books in the market, books that you may already have or you could try to hunt for. We will talk about their current value and what they go for in certain grades. Without further ado, I present to you the top 10 hottest books of the week. Number 10, we've got Avengers issue number 8 with a high sale of $2,700 and an eBay record sale of $4,000 for a CGC 8.0 last sold June of 2021. So hot because it's actually featuring Kang the Conqueror. We all know that Kang is coming in the MCU. So this book actually features the first appearance of Nathaniel Richards as Kang the Conqueror, previously Ramatut and later Immortus. Nathaniel is the father of Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic of the Fantastic Four. Now mind you, back in December of 2020, Jonathan Majors' Lovecraft Country is confirmed to play Kang in Ant-Man 3 Quantumania and is rumored to appear briefly in Loki. Now we also have some of this week's record-breaking sales for this book, where a 4.5 was sold for $1,000 compared to last March, where one was sold for $840 with a 19% increase, and a 3.5 sold for $827 compared to last May, where one was sold for $648 with a 28% increase. And lastly, we've got a 2.5 that sold for $650 compared to last May, where one was sold for $550 with an 18% increase. Now, Kang's first appearance is seeing increased action this week after the Loki TV series debuted in Disney+. It is likely that aspects of the series will set up the introduction of Kang. One character heavily associated with Kang is Ravonna Renslayer, who Kang ardently pursued in the comics. At number 9, we've got Amazing Spider-Man issue number 41 with a high sale of $2,700, an eBay record sale of $3,178 for CGC 9.2 last sold May of 2021. The book features the first appearance of Rhino, and mind you, some of this week's record-breaking sales for this book is an 8.0 that sold for $1,830 compared to last April, where one was sold for $1,250 with a 46% increase. A 6.5 also sold for $1,000 compared to last April, where one was sold for $770 with a 30% increase. And last, we've got a 2.0 that sold for $300 compared to last January, where one was sold for $200 with a 50% increase. And mind you, the fan favorite theory for Spider-Man No Way Home is that the previous two trilogy villains will reprise the roles in the upcoming film. This villains include Green Goblin, Electro, Sandman, Lizard, Dr. Octopus, and of course Rhino. Great, we've got Amazing Spider-Man Annual issue number 1 with a high sale of $6,300 and an eBay record sale of $7,250 for a CGC 8.0 last sold May of 2021. The significance of the book features the first team appearance of the Sinister Six, Dr. Octopus, Kraven, Vulture, Electro, Mysterio, and Sandman. It also features the third appearance of Kraven, Vulture, Electro, Mysterio, and Sandman. This book seems to have been reprinted in Marvel Tales issue number 150, and the book also features character profiles of Dr. Doom, the Lizard, and the others. The book also has additional pages explaining how Spider-Man's powers and gadgetry work. In July of 2020, speculation came up that the Sinister Six team will be formed in Spider-Man 3. And for this book, this week's record-breaking sales features a 5.5 that sold for $2,524 compared to last July, where one was sold for $1,750 with a 44% increase. A 3.0 sold for $2,025 compared to last May, where one was sold for $1,695 with a 19% increase. A 2.0 sold for $1,115 compared to last March, where one was sold for $798 with a 40% increase. 7, we've got Conan the Barbarian issue number 1 with a high sale of $1,000. The significance of the book features the first appearance of Conan the Barbarian, as well as the first cameo appearance of King Cole. In September of 2020, Conan the Barbarian live-action series is in development with Pathfinder Media for Netflix. Now this week's record-breaking sales for this book is a 9.4 that sold for $2,645 compared to last May, where one was sold for $2,000 with a 32% increase. There's also a 9.2 that sold for $1,981 compared to last April, where one was sold for $1,710 with a 16% increase. A 6.5 also sold for $650 compared to last May, where one was sold for $475 with a 37% increase. Next, we've got Submariner issue number 1 with a high sale of $1,800 and an eBay record sale of $2,800 for a CGC 9.2 last sold June of 2021. This book features the first Namor solo series in the Silver Age, as well as the origin of Namor. Well, some of this week's record-breaking sales for this book is a 7.5 that sold for $1,300 compared to last May, where one was sold for $1,050 with a 24% increase. We also have a 5.5 that sold for $800 compared to last May, where one was sold for $492 with a 63% increase. We also have a 5.0 that sold for $625 compared to last May, where one was sold for $430 with a 45% increase. And mind you, each grade had multiple sales this week that exceed the previous all-time high. There are quite a few Submariner key issues in the move, considering the character's history is longer than Marvel's by name at least. Namor was introduced in the Motion Picture Funnies Weekly issue number 1 in 1939, the first publication by Timely Comics, who would briefly become Atlas before landing on the name Marvel Comics. Despite the collective desire by fans to see Namor in the MCU and unconfirmed reporting, the Submariner is not yet officially confirmed to be introduced in the Black Panther Priest. 5, we've got two of my most favorite characters. We have DC Comics Presents issue number 47 with a high sale of $400. This book features the first appearance of He-Man in the DC Comics, as well as the first appearance of Skeletor in the DC Comics. In April of 2021, Smith's Master of the Universe will be a sequel to the 1985 cartoon series. Now for this book, this week's record-breaking sales are as follows. So we got a 9.8 that sold for $3,500 compared to last April, where one was sold for $2,250 with a 56% increase. There is a $5,175 sale registered to GPA from May 2 of 2021, but we are unable to confirm the validity of this sale, which was more than twice the amount of the previous high. Now we also have a 9.4 that sold for $845 compared to last May, where one was sold for $725 with a 17% increase. We also have an 8.5 that sold for $450 compared to last May, where one was sold for $311 with a 45% increase. Mind you, DC Comics Presents issue number 47 has increased significantly in value over the past year. High sales in June of 2020, 1 year ago. A 9.8 actually sold for $750 compared to now, where one was actually sold for $3,500 with a 366% increase right there. And a 9.4 sold for $208 last year compared this year, where one was sold for $845 with a 306% increase obviously right there. And we also have an 8.5 that sold for $113 last year, but now it's actually selling for $450 with a 298% increase. The Hot 10, we've got Avengers issue number 47 with a high sale of $850 and an eBay record sale from $1,025 for a CGC 9.2 last sold June of 2021. This book features the first appearance of Dane Whitman, who becomes the third Black Knight. And mind you, Kit Harington was actually cast as Dane Whitman. Now for this week's record-breaking sales for this book, we got an 8.5 that sold for $875 compared to the last known sale back in 2019, where one was sold for $800 with a 9% increase. We also have a 5.0 that sold for $275 compared to last March, where one was sold for $180 with a 53% increase. And there's also a 4.0 that sold for $250 compared to last May, where one was sold for $150 with a 67% increase. At number 3, we've got Marvel Spotlight issue number 32 with a high sale of $225. This book features the first appearance and origin of Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew. It also features the first appearance and death of Otto Vermis. Well, in June of 2021, it was confirmed that Issa Rae will voice Spider-Woman into the Spider-Verse 2. Mind you, this book actually shows a significant increase with 120% copies sold this week versus the previous week. Now, this week's record-breaking sales actually shows that 9.8 sold for $4,500 compared to last May, where one was sold for $3,700 with a 22% increase. A 9.2 actually sold for $1,140 compared to last week, where one was sold for $824 with a 38% increase. And we also have a 6.5 that sold for $245 compared to last November, where one was sold for $150 with a 63% increase. Number 2 in the Hot 10, we've got Deadline Magazine issue number 1 with a high sale of $1,200. This book features the first appearance of Tank Girl. Now, back in September 2019, there was a rumor that went that it was actually in development with Margot Robbie's production company. Now, some of this week's record-breaking sales for this book shows that an 8.5 sold for $2,000 compared to last January, where one was sold for $950 with a 110% increase. A 7.0 sold for $1,063 compared to last January, where one was sold for $800 with a 33% increase. Now, mind you, 2 sales this week with no previous recorded history. There's one with a grade of 7.5 that sold for $987 and also a 4.5 that sold for $539. Now, mind you, for this particular book, this is actually a magazine-sized comic, which is extremely scarce in grade. In grades 9.6, 9.4, 9.2, and 4.5, there's only 1 copy accounted for. In grades 7.5 and 5.5, there are 5 copies in each grade. There are 4 copies graded at 8.5, 6 copies graded at 8.0, 2 copies graded at 6.5, and 1 copy graded at 4.5. In total, there are 26 unrestored graded copies of Deadline issue number 1. Well, as it shows, key issues in the comics from the 1980s have exploded over the past year. This is the first time Deadline issue number 1 made the list. And we also have another popular 80s indie title, which is Bone, which had a massive standalone sale this week. It actually had a 5.0 that sold for $2,190 compared to the last known sale way back in 2016, where one was sold for $520. So number 1 in the Hot 10, we've got Werewolf by Night issue number 32 with a high sale of $3,800 and an eBay record sale of $10,500 for CGC 9.2, last sold June of 2021. This book features the first appearance and origin of Moon Knight, and in January of 2021, Oscar Isaac confirmed that he'll be playing the role of Moon Knight for Disney Plus TV series. Now, some of this week's record-breaking sales for this book shows that a 3.5 sold for $2,000 compared to last March, where one was sold for $881 with a 127% increase. We also see that a 3.0 sold for $1,800 compared to last February, where one was sold for $730 with a 147% increase. Last, we've got a 2.5 that sold for $1,250 compared to last May, where one was sold for $800 with a 56% increase. Wraps up our weekly hottest comic books of the week. I hope this helped you in getting an idea of what are the hottest books in the market or which keys you should try to get for your personal collection. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If you want to see more comic related contents, hit subscribe as well as the bell icon. That way you'll be notified if we have new videos.